We are switching to a world full of 100% online direct sales for new vehicles, and what we know as a dealership today is going to be drastically different 5 to 10 years from now. But the real question is, how did we get to where we are today? And why are dealerships dying? And why are manufacturers making the decisions and making moves that would essentially circumvent the dealership altogether? And in today's video, we're going to be answering that exact question. The modern dealership was established by William Metzger, who used his small retail showroom to sell Waverly electric cars. And only 2 years later, he used that showroom to sell Oldsmobile vehicles. This was the very start of what was to become the franchise dealership. What was once a small retail operation has now become a multi-billion-dollar operation consisting of hundreds, if not thousands, of franchise dealerships across the entire country. And this is in large part due to franchise laws that prohibit manufacturers from selling vehicles directly and instead require bonded licensed dealerships to do the selling for them. Franchise dealerships were initially supposed to be a win-win-win for everyone involved when selling cars. The manufacturer sells the car to the dealership partners, the dealership works independently to sell that car to you, and you then get to buy a car with the support of a dealer to get recalls, warranties, and issues addressed. Win, win, win. But in recent years, the way that we buy cars, or the way that we should buy cars, has changed a lot, and what was once an integral part of the car buying process now is simply obsolete and outdated. But the franchising industry and dealerships are incredibly powerful, and because of this, the FTC ruling is still in existence, requiring manufacturers to sell cars through dealerships, despite the fact that the necessity for dealerships has been in question for years. This is of course until Tesla came around and shook up and broke every rule there is to selling cars in the United States, and they opened the floodgates for others to follow suit. Tesla was proof of concept that selling new cars nearly 100% online is a business model that worked and that could be embraced by the general public. If you've ever taken a look at Tesla's website, you know that the website and buying process resembles something closer to buying a laptop than buying a new car. It's incredibly simple, convenient, and accessible, and nearly everyone who buys a Tesla goes through this exact same process. It proved that customers are willing, able, and in some cases eager to buy a car from their home computer rather than having to deal with a salesman at a dealership. But not only did Tesla prove that people can adapt to a new sales process, Tesla also proved that there are loopholes and workarounds to the FTC ruling requiring dealerships in the first place. Now, some states do allow Teslas to sell directly to consumers, which makes the process easy and streamlined, but other states, like my home state of Texas, for example, do not. And the way that Tesla has figured out how to work around these rules is that if you order a Tesla online, you'll have to get that Tesla delivered directly to the nearest state, which allows direct sales. So in my case, if I bought a Tesla, I would have to have that car shipped to California or Colorado. There in that state, the paperwork would be processed, I would make payment for the car, and the Tesla would be delivered to my nearest service center. Now, I'm personally not a big fan of Tesla, but I will give them credit. They have truly changed the way that we buy cars, and they did what other manufacturers either weren't able to do or weren't willing to do. And as a result, they've changed the car industry forever. Now, the reality is brick and mortar retail has been dying for decades. You can buy virtually everything you need to buy online, from food to clothing to toilet paper. And it wasn't a matter of if the automotive industry started to follow suit, it was simply a matter of when. And Tesla truly paved the way. But the thing is, franchise laws and online sales have definitely had a huge impact on the automotive industry and how we buy cars. But this is only one piece of the puzzle. There's also a huge other piece that is incredibly important, and that is dealership reputation, specifically the decline of the dealership reputation over the last 10 years. I've talked about this a lot in my videos, and we as a society, we can't agree on a lot of things. But one thing that many of us can agree on is that dealerships are the absolute worst. 87% of Americans dislike something about the experience of shopping at a dealership. 3 out of 5 Americans feel like they're being taken advantage of when shopping for a new car. And 56% of Americans say they would rather clean their house than negotiate with a car salesman. The fact is, we hate dealerships, and our hatred for dealerships have really begun to increase over the last 10 years. And particularly in the last couple of years, these grievances have really begun to be in the spotlight. For example, dealerships charging insane dealer markups, bait and switch sales tactics, yo-yo sales techniques, ordering a vehicle for a customer and then requiring them to pay market adjustments in order to actually purchase the car they've ordered. And these are just 3. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of different examples. Social media and the internet has given people an outlet to express their dissatisfaction and to vent about their poor experiences at dealerships, whether it's just because of a bad salesman or because they've been scammed in some way, shape, and form. And this is not only gaining the attention of other people looking to buy a car, but manufacturers and legislative bodies as well. Because though the FTC has traditionally been an ally to keeping dealerships alive and well, they recently proposed a new rule which would require more transparency into the car buying process. This proposed ruling would be outlined in a way to fight deceptive advertising, crack down on bait-and-switch marketing, and put a stop to hidden add-on charges. So this will be the end of going to a dealership to look at the $25,000 car that you found online to only find out that the car is actually closer to $30,000. Plus TT&L, of course. But I'm sure none of us are surprised to learn that dealerships are really not happy about this. They are pushing back, and whether or not this FTC ruling will move forward is uncertain. But like I mentioned a few moments ago, we as consumers and the FTC aren't the only two groups of people that are fed up with these shady dealership tactics and poor reputation, because the manufacturers are really getting to the end of their rope as well. This past year, manufacturers like GM and Ford have sent out letters letting dealerships know that if they do not abide by the terms and conditions of their franchise agreements, they will no longer be getting the highly anticipated vehicle allocations, like the Ford F-150 or the Corvette C8. Ford and their CEO, Jim Farley, have been one of the more outspoken groups regarding this shift, and he actually agrees with the FTC. Recently, in an interview, Jim Farley stated that he believes that Ford needs to move more towards a 100% online, non-negotiated, and transparent pricing structure.
I believe that we have to go to a non-negotiated price, totally online, transparent, 100% pickup and delivery model. But we also have to have the ability to do remote in most cases, in some cases like commercial customers, physical service.
And though as of right now, these direct sales are almost exclusively isolated to EV cars, the writing is really on the wall because most major manufacturers have announced that they will be switching to a 100% EV lineup in the next decade or so. And once manufacturers go 100% EV, the dealership will be dead. Dealerships are a classic real-life example of the phrase pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. Dealerships have in the past played an integral part of the car buying process. And sure, they still play an important role, but it's a role that can be replaced, in large part, by the internet. Dealerships are bad for business, at least the business of selling cars. Their poor reputation, dealer markups, and sleazy sales techniques have left consumers with a bad taste in their mouth more often than not, and key players in the auto industry know that they have to pivot their business model if they don't want to lose customers to brands like Rivian, Lucid, and of course Tesla. But it's not only that. Online shopping has been taking over for the better part of 2 decades, and it was only a matter of time for car sales to adopt this new method of shopping too. The bad press dealerships have been getting over the last couple of years, paired with EVs taking over, has allowed for manufacturers the perfect opportunity to pivot. It's hard to say if a new car dealership's fate would have been different had they not overstepped their boundaries, and if customers actually enjoyed the buying experience of purchasing a new car. But there is one thing that is true, and that is, as we sit here today, dealerships are doomed, and there's probably nothing they can do about it. But with that being said, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.